Hello and welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. Today I have with me as usual my co-host, Mr. ABRAR Aziz. How are you doing?
Better than you two are.
Oh man. Listen, bro, my happiness is based off your happiness. If you're happy, I'm happy. That's what an older brother does to a younger brother.
Yeah, man, that's so cute of you.
I'm just, you smiling puts a smile on my face.
That's all I care about, right? Like,
That's
it's all, I'll take these kind of happiness, these kind of words from you all the time. Like even next game when you guys come to the Emirates, I expect the same, right?
Absolutely, bro. I'm gracious in defeat. I'm gracious in victory as well. Don't you worry.
Yeah, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, and Zoe here with me as well. Zoe, how are you doing? Recovered from the loss?
I'm great, bro. I'm great. What loss?
Oh, man, so you make it so hard to banter you, bro. This is bullshit.
So basically, every week after the game week is done, we pick one game and we do the player ratings. So this week, the game of the week was Tottenham versus Brighton. So we'll be doing the player ratings for that. I'm just kidding. Man United versus Arsenal, 1-0 at Old Trafford. Arsenal winning after 13 years, is it? At Old Trafford. Yep, a really good victory for them. They'll be really confident. So
I'd just like to say before we get started that they only won because of VAR. Obviously, they've bought the refs. There wasn't a penalty from anywhere.
What can I have a counter to that. I think you guys wasted all your money on like some of the other players you got on deadline day. You forgot to pay Mike Dean.
Oh man, you know what? Mike Dean's always been in the pocket. I didn't think we need to pay him again.
That's why I'm surprised. I was like, Mike Dean giving Arsenal a penalty at Old Trafford. I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
he has COVID.
It is 2020,
COVID,
right?
You can't your senses get messed up. So maybe his sense of vision, he couldn't tell the colors apart. Mike Dean's an idiot anyway, so.
I was so surprised. Mike Dean penalty against United at Old Trafford. Man, that's unheard of.
2020
really does funny things to
and then what's Penanda's gonna do if he doesn't have a penalty to shoot, bro? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
He's gonna shit like he did.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Zoe, your initial thoughts on the game? Wasn't the most interesting game, but like your initial thoughts.
Yeah, when you play this Stoke replica team from Highbury, what can you do? It's going to be boring football. Some teams, they come to camp, they come to defend. They don't have any progressive football in them. Hold up 1 second, I have to move the cat. No, honestly, look, to be real, I thought United played really poorly. I don't think Arsenal played that well, but compared to how United were playing, they did enough. It's a deserved win. I thought a draw would have been fair. And it looked like to me that Ole was trying to basically play a game of 60 minutes and then play a game of 30 minutes where he's going to throw everything at Arsenal in the last 30 minutes. And unfortunately, that worked. That worked for us against Leipzig. But then, we didn't factor Arsenal's secret weapon, Paul Pogba. So it really, it was one of those things where it's just, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's hard to get any sort of consistency going for United. Old Trafford is definitely the theater of screams, not the theater of dreams right now. It's just it was poor. We lost the midfield battle. I think there were, individually, there weren't that many bad performances, but our midfield left a lot to be desired. I think that's where we got beat, and definitely didn't offer enough going forward to merit a goal or something like that. But it is what it is. Hats off to the boys from London. They played their game. Arteta set them up well to nullify the diamond. And they walked away with the win.
Yeah, and Don, it wasn't the prettiest Arsenal performance, but you'll take that because that's what's been lacking over the last 10 years or so. They've played really good football, but lose. But to beat a big top 6 team you can call it not the most exciting performance, but you take that, right? Like a clinical performance.
Oh, absolutely. I mentioned even in our preview, right? I said that I expect this game to be a KG 1-0 win, and that's exactly what it was. This is probably my first prediction that came on bang on with the scoreline and everything. So I'd expect some points in our next prediction. But yeah, overall, I think it was exactly how I envisioned it, and there is still work for us to be done on the front, in trying to score more goals, because we will get found out by some of the other better teams out there. I'm not taking anything away from United, but at this moment in time, there are teams that are able to score better, and at this moment in time, United is not doing that, right? So I think in terms of that, we will get found out in as the league goes on. So there's going to have to be a quick improvement on that front. But yes, I will 100% take this win. I take hopefully the boys will take a lot of confidence out of it. We haven't won in Old Trafford in 13 years, so it's a special win. I'm going to be so biased in my ratings. I'm just going to try and not give 10 to everybody. I know that's exactly what I'm trying to try and do.
I'm surprised you're not giving 11s.
If I could, bro, I would.
Bro, you can, bro. And you can do anything you put your mind to.
Fair enough. Let's crack it with the ratings. Zo, we'll start with you. Manchester United, David De Gea in goal.
Man, I mean, what's he gonna do with the penalty, right? There wasn't much that could be done. Great penalty by Oba. So
even if he went the right way,
even if he went the right, bro, Oba is solid, man. He knows what he's doing. It was good direction, excellent power behind it. There was no way he was saving that. Other than that, I thought that De Gea was kind of let down by his defense a little bit in terms of how many attacks we're getting through for Arsenal, but also that problem starts further up the field. That being said, if we're looking at just his performance in isolation, I thought he was okay, nothing spectacular, does his job well. I feel his distribution from the back is improving, and I know that he's been working on a few things in the offseason, especially after the horror show of a season that he had last season. I'm comfortable giving him a 6.5.
6.5 for De Gea, and then moving on to Wan-Bissaka, not his greatest day.
Yeah, I felt that this was probably one of Spider-One's weaker games. He was getting shredded a lot. I mean, when Arsenal overload on their flanks when they're playing, a three at the back, it gives them the opportunity to have wing backs link up with their wingers, and that 2-on-1 situation definitely hurts United, especially when we're playing in a diamond formation. We have no protection on the wings. There's no one really tracking back to protect your fullback. He was getting caught out of position. He was having a tough time. But, again, there wasn't much end product as a result of all these Arsenal attacks, right? So it's kind of hard to give him a good score, but it's hard to give him a bad score. I have him at a 6.
You have him at 6. Yeah, he lost possession quite a few times, but it didn't lead to a goal. But yeah, at the same time, like, he needs to do better for sure.
That's it.
Lindelof?
I thought Lindelof played well, man. I thought he did a good job marshalling Arsenal's forwards. I thought he had a great game against Lacazette. Lacazette isn't exactly the most talented striker at Arsenal. His days at Lyon or something else. But I thought Lindelof did a really good job marshalling him, making sure that he was getting to the ball before him. He made a couple of great last-ditch tackles, won a lot of his duels. Just played really well, was solid at the back, and he's always a good passing option from the back. Great distribution. I have him at a 7.
7 for Lindelof, and his partner in crime, Harry Maguire.
Bro, I don't know what happened to this guy after the Tottenham game. If someone changed his batteries, or someone paid him off, or whatever it is, this guy's playing like a whole other player, bro. Like, he's showing what he was showing in our previous season, what he was showing at Leicester. I'm not saying he's there yet, but he definitely had a really good game. Again, dealt well with the Arsenal threat. Great distribution from the back. Again, he's really sort of turned the corner on what had been a couple of shocking performances at the beginning of the season. Unlucky to eat a yellow card, but it is what it is. I have him at a 7.5, actually.
7.5 for Maguire. Luke Shaw.
Luke is picking up form, man. Luke is picking up form. Luke actually gives us a pretty decent outlet down the left. I think, we saw this last season as well, when the emergence of Brandon Williams all of a sudden spurred Luke into this, new level of commitment, new level of intensity and effort. And I think Alex Telles being there does the same thing. I know Brandon Williams, I think, is potentially switching over to the right now. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I was hearing. And Alex Telles is like the next in line at left back. And I think it's a genuine threat to Luke Shaw. And he's definitely taking that into account and stepping up his performances to account for it. He is being able to put some deliveries into the box. That'll improve, I guess, the more he gets to run those plays. But you can see him growing in confidence as he ventures forward. And he was a decent defender in this game as well. I have him at a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 for Luke Shaw. Probably giving defenders a bit higher because the goal wasn't their fault.
I'm giving the defenders a decent scores because I think that we lost this game in midfield. I thought our defense was fine, but if your midfield lets you down as intensely as ours did, it makes everything so much more difficult for the defense to do. And I think that these guys were cleaning up the mistakes of what the players ahead of them were doing. And you're going to see this where I don't think our forwards played bad in isolation. I don't think our defenders played bad in isolation, but because of how poorly our midfield played, that really hurt us overall. So that's why my scores for the defenders are higher than you would expect for a loss.
Fair enough. And then moving on to the midfield, would you like to start with Fred?
Yeah, man, let's go with Fred. So I thought Fred had a really poor game, especially compared to a very dominant performance against Leipzig. He lost the ball a bunch of times, was getting, was really getting harried off the ball. And this was a theme throughout the game where Arsenal were always first to the second ball. Their effort levels were higher. They were hungrier. They wanted it more, and you could see that on the pitch. And Fred, when he gets pressed like that, he's not the most press resistant player. He kind of like retreats inwards, and you can't have that. You need someone in Fred's position to be playing the ball forward, to be moving the team forward, driving us into an attacking move. And it wasn't happening. He was more than content to just play the ball sideways or backwards, even dropping deeper and deeper. And when that happens, you've effectively removed yourself from the game, especially in a diamond formation. So I had Fred at a 5.
Fred 5, and then McTominay.
Scott was a little bit better than Fred, but overall, I thought there was a lot of effort, but very little end product. Scott's always going to give you that heart, but I don't know if you guys have seen the memes, but basically it's that Scott does a lot of running around, but what else does he do?
Yeah.
And it's true. He was doing a lot of running around, but really not much else.
He drifted away, yeah.
He drifted away. He fades out of the game. Like Scott's best when he's putting in crunching tackles and whatnot. But, his passing does leave a lot to be, not a lot, but it does leave something to be desired. And I feel that these are confidence things. Him and Fred need to be more confident in their ability to stay on the ball and move the ball forward. And that didn't happen today. Same thing. Our midfield got played out of the game. And it affects, one player losing it affects the other. And like I said, Fred was already dropping back, playing the safe passes. Scott wasn't really offering anything either. I have Scott at a 5.5.
5.5 for Scott. And then moving on to the most talented and most frustrating player at Manchester United, Paul Pogba.
Oh, man. I don't know, bro. I don't know what's up with this guy, man. Uncle Paulie, bro. Uncle Paulie.
I think a 10 on 10 is a good rating for him.
As an Arsenal player, for sure, 10 on 10. He was the match winner for you, bro. But yeah, that's it, man. Like, come on, you can't be giving away a penalty like that. It's just like, yo, you're being played in your preferred position, midfield diamond on the left side. What more do you want, right? And I thought he was terrible. Like, frankly speaking, I thought he was terrible. He gave the ball away so many times. It's like, how do you give the ball away so much? His passing was nothing special. Wasn't really adding anything from on a creative note. Just, honestly, he was our worst player, and he was arguably Arsenal's best player. Like him losing the ball so much and just not making the right decision time and time again really put so much, pressure on us. And especially when a team is pressing well like Arsenal, you need someone to just slow things down, hold the ball up a little bit, and string together a couple of passes. And you would think that Pogba is tailor-made for that sort of thing. And it just wasn't there, man. I think I'm being generous giving a 3.5.
3.5 for Pogba. Yeah, I mean, like so talented, man. That's the problem. Like, and these are the games you expect him to turn up. And like, if you forget about turning up, it was his mistake which caused the game. Like, so
that's it, man. Like, listen, if you don't need to hit the heights that that's your full potential each and every time. That is the mark of a truly great player. That's why someone like Messi or Ronaldo are part of those GOAT conversations, because they have the ability and they deliver consistently, game in, game out, regardless of what's happening. Come rain, shine, hell or high water, doesn't matter. These guys are delivering. Pogba, you've seen the flashes of the talent, but you begin to ask yourself now, 5 seasons later at United, that is it that much, or was those games that he performed up to those like high levels, was that him over delivering? It becomes a question that creeps into the back of your head. Be like, what if this guy's just not that good? How we always say that on his day he can beat anyone, but it's like, what if that's him playing beyond his ability? I'm like, again, for me personally, like, you guys know me, I'm always a guy that keeps the faith and always supports the players. But yeah, man, he's super frustrating, and 3.5 for me, dude.
Yeah, and then moving on, Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno had a pretty bad game, bro. I thought this was a pretty shit game from Bruno. Again, when you set up a team to play dependent on a 10, which is what the way United plays, with pretty much everything running through Bruno, it makes you very, very susceptible to having a terrible game if your 10 has a bad game. And that's what happened. Our 10 had a bad game, and you saw our forwards had very little service. Rashford had no shots. I think, he had one shot that was blocked. Mason had one shot, I think. You can't have those sorts of numbers from your forward line. And that's, I get it that Bruno is our creative fulcrum, but it is an inherent risk of playing a number 10 dominant play style, where if your 10 gets marked out of the game, if your 10 doesn't show up, it affects everything else, and that's what happened today. The effort's always there, but when the execution wasn't, I got to give him a 5 today.
A 5 for Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford.
So, like I said, with the forward line, for me, it's similar to what's happening with the defense, where the forward line was trying, the effort was there. These guys are making the runs, but at the end of the day, they need someone to supply them, right? They need someone to bring the ball up and put them into dangerous positions. And I thought that wasn't happening. I thought Rashford played a really great pass to Greenwood that split Arsenal's defense, and I wish we could have gotten more out of it. But it was a game of fine margins, and it was just one of those things where nothing was coming off. Call it the hangover of the Champions League win, whatever you want to call it. I'll give him a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. And Mason Greenwood?
He's young, man. He's gonna have games like this where he doesn't deliver. It's. This
is where you're missing someone like Sancho.
I don't know, bro. Like, that's the thing with Sancho. That's Sancho on Dortmund. Who knows if Sancho is going to be able to deliver at the same level at United? And that's not to say that he can't handle the Premier League. That's also to say that, is United the most welcoming environment at this point in time for all the reasons that's
true as well.
We've been over, right? So I don't want to go like, oh, Sancho would have done better.
Not that way, but maybe it would make Greenwood a better player because he wouldn't have to have so much pressure on him every single game.
That's true. That's why that was one of the biggest reasons I was like, yeah, let's sign Sancho and or someone.
Because there's so many games in the season, especially this season, so hectic.
That's it. Someone on the right wing that we can swap out.
He's gonna drain out by the end of the season, otherwise.
Exactly. You saw it happening a little bit at the end of last season.
Yeah.
He's gonna be hot and cold. Every young player is like that. I'm hoping that it's more hot than cold. I'm hoping that it's always hot. But we got to be realistic as well, right? And I thought he had a poor game today. Again, starved of service, wasn't able to get into the game. Basically, Rashford and Mason were not able to get into the game. Not really their fault, but again, it is what it is. 5.5 out of 10.
5.5 out of 10 for Mason Greenwood. And just quickly moving on to the subs, Nemanja Matic, I thought he should have got that penalty. What are your thoughts?
I prefer not to speak. I prefer not to speak in the words of a very wise man, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
I mean, with VAR, I think he could have given it.
Bro, what can I say? What can I? All ball. Of course, you're gonna say all ball. You're all balls, is what you are, bro. But listen, honestly, Matic. I thought that once Matic came on, it added a new dimension to our game. We had a period of sustained pressure towards the end. Unfortunate not to get anything out of it, but his ability to play passes out from the back, from that deep lying position, really shows how he is superior to Scott and Fred at this point in time. Him coming on to replace Fred really gave us something to kickstart our attack. And I thought that he was really good when he came on for his cameo. I have him at a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 for Matic. And Cavani didn't look fully fit, but your thoughts on his cameo?
Bro, I mean, I really no thoughts, man. It was kind of anonymous, but again, that was pretty much the theme for our forward line. Again, to me, this game was lost in midfield. Arsenal won it in the midfield, and without that service, we don't have wide players in a 4-4-2 diamond. So when you don't have wide players, you lose that dimension. That means you really need to be on the ball when it comes to playing through the middle, and we just didn't have that. So the ball would get caught in the middle. Arsenal would always have that outlet where they could play to the wings, where they could play it to Bellerin, where they could play it to Saka. We didn't have that option, and our midfield just didn't show up. And as a result, forwards, what are they going to do, right? I have Cavani at just to be generous, a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. And Van de Beek, Donny.
I mean, not much time for Donny to do anything. Again, I don't know what this guy has to do to get a start in the league. I thought that he would have definitely been a superior option to Pogba based on this performance. But again, it goes back to Pogba got picked because of his performance against Leipzig. So Donny, bro, I'm being generous for the bench, just tossing out these 6s, bro. 6 for Donny as well.
6 for Donny. I think, that wraps up United's ratings. Thanks, Zol. Stay with us. Remind me to ask you a question about Solskjaer at the end. And Don, moving on to you, bro. Arsenal player ratings. Let's start with Leno and goal.
So it would have been easier for me to give him a rating if you guys actually made him do any kind of work. There was nothing. He was just anonymous. He hardly had anything to work with. So just for the sake of he didn't have anything to do. He was okay.
It was just that one shot, Greenwood shot.
That one shot from Greenwood that he probably, and
it.
he did it decently. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 because he didn't have anything to do.
Fair enough. 7 out of 10 for Leno. Rob Holding?
Rob Holding, I think, was amongst the three slightly poor because he kept. I thought a couple of times Greenwood got the better of him in pace, and that's something you will get with Rob Holding because Rob Holding is slightly slower than, and Greenwood's been pretty fast, but nothing came off of it in general, and he got a relatively poor yellow card as well. I mean, a deserved yellow card for sure, but he could have avoided that, and for that reason, I'm just gonna give him an 8. I think he cut off a point for that.
You give him an 8 for that?
Yeah,
I was expecting like a
1-0, bro.
6, bro.
I'm going very nice to my guys today.
And then moving on, I think this guy looks like a beast, man. Gabriel.
Bro, he is so good. Like I knew he was a good player when he came on. He's already surpassed everything that I expected off of him. He's just such a great player. He makes his counterparts look good, right? He made Rob Holding look good. He made Tierney look good. I mean, Tierney is pretty good as well. Rob Holding under his leadership is looking very, very good, and that's why I gave him that points because he's feeding off of Gabriel well as well. Although I will be fair and I will knock off 2 points from him. I'll give him an 8 on 10 because I think he should have been sent off.
I think
that second one against Greenwood, where he skinned Greenwood, I think he should have been sent off because he had already got a yellow card against Rashford.
Yes, bro.
So I'm going to be fair. I'm going to.
But he didn't get sent off. So like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm knocking off 2 points. Otherwise, if he didn't do that, I'd give him a 10 on 10.
Listen, if you're giving Gabriel an 8, you have to give Holding a 7. I'm sorry, that's just how math works.
I guess that's fair. 7.5 for Holding is not bad at all. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Yeah,
no, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, that's fine. 8 for Holding. I thought like you'd give Gabriel a 9, but yes, maybe you're being correct because if in hindsight that happened, then that
could have made a lot of difference, But
fair enough.
But for what he did, let's give him an 8.5. Let's be fair. I think because for what he did, he was so good on the ball. Like he really.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you,
very dominant.
If you don't consider, if you just look at the stats and if you just look at his performance without that, it's a 10 on 10 performance. Maybe knock one off 9, but for 8.5, I think
8.5. I think 8.5.
Yo, let me ask
I want to be more critical. Thank you for helping me out.
No, so 8 for Holding and 8.5 for Gabriel.
Wallahi, brother, don't pass to Musti. He's against us. Wallahi, brother.
So
on my mother's life.
So what are you gonna say?
I was going to ask him what's happening with Saliba because Saliba, I personally want to see him play because the way Wesley Fofana is killing it at Leicester, I just wonder if Arsenal have another gem in Saliba. I think Fofana is better than Saliba, but Saliba came from Saint Etienne as well, and he's highly rated. So I'm just wondering what's up with him.
So from what little I've been able to gauge from what Arteta has said is that they wanted him to have a full season at Saint Etienne's, and he got injured over there. Right. And he hasn't been able to really come out of it completely, is what I'm told. And the kind of pace that he played against in that league versus the pace that he's playing at the Premier League, he's still not completely ready for that, and he's still not suited. But he has been inculcated in the Europa team, I believe, because he was left out. But oh my God, I'm slipping his mind. Wow.
Who are you trying to say, bro?
Mari.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Pablo Mari had a setback. I can't believe but Pablo Mari had a setback. So I believe he's going to be able to play some of the Europa League games. So he's going to get inculcated in a team like that. But I think they're giving him a year just to kind of get ready, kind of just get a little bit more physical, I think, because I think that they're probably in training and seeing that he's getting pushed off easily or whatever. So they're trying to get him ready like that and then just going to inculcate him slowly into the team. And luckily for us, I think in the defender section, we're okay because we have Mustafi as backup. We have Mari who will come through. Gabriel's looking so solid. Holding's there. Tierney on the left is doing pretty well as well. So I think that's why they're just taking their time to kind of bring him into the team, and I don't mind that at all.
Don, moving on to Tierney.
So Tierney started off a little bit slowly, I thought. Just the first few minutes, I felt like every time he was trying to cross the ball, it was hitting the first defender, and it kept going out of play. So I was a little bit worried. But then suddenly, I think after like 25-30 minutes, he really picked up his game, and I think in the second half he was very, very good moving forward, and he was pretty good defensively as well. I think anything that was coming through, he was able to block off, and I don't think he looked rusty at all. Every time I think of Tierney, the bad game that he had was when Salah was running him around in the first against Liverpool, but he had nothing like that. But also United was relatively poor, so it made him look better a little bit, I guess. So I'm going to give him an 8 on 10 as well.
8 on 10 for Tierney. And Bellerin, I thought he was very impressive.
So Bellerin's my man of the match. I thought he had an incredible game. I thought defensively he gave nothing away to Rashford. I think every time Rashford tried, he was in his face almost. Going forward, he's just getting better with every game. I'm so happy to see a player that has come out from an ACL who's actually doing this well. Usually a lot of these players kind of taper off from there. You see Rob Holding also is suffering for pace, but Bellerin has been able to gain that pace back. I think he's still a half of just a little a second slower
Half
than
a
he
yard slow.
probably was. Yeah. So sorry, what was that?
I'm saying half a yard slow.
Half a yard slow. Yeah. So he probably has a little bit more there. I don't know if he'll be able to get to that kind of pace because of the ACL, but I think the way he's maturing as a player is exactly what I wanted him to be. I thought he was very, very good today, and just an extra point because he also won the penalty. So 9.5 on 10, man. I thought he was very, very good.
Fair enough.
I think him playing as wing back really, really suits him. I think that's where he should be playing going forward. They should be playing him in a back three sort of situation, and coming off the midfield as a wing back, as opposed to playing him out as a straight up fullback.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, go ahead, Musti.
No, go for it.
No, I was just like, that's exactly what it was. I think he's looking a lot better because when you play him four at the back, sometimes you see that defensively he's a little hard to deal with. But I mean, sometimes he might be found wanting because he's trying to go forward and then he's not able to come back in time. But I think the kind of that partnership that Gabriel helping out, Holding helping out Bellerin has been very, very effective. And you guys were surprised by my ratings for holding, but I think as a team they worked very well. That's why I gave those kind of points to Holding that I did.
The communication across your back line and your wing backs and your midfield was fantastic.
Oh, midfield, just let that come, bro.
I know, man.
But so do you think, just like a quick thought on that, do you think that's what United is missing? Like the likes of Wan-Bissaka not pushing forward enough? Like, yes, Luke Shaw did deliver a good ball, but apart from that, like...
I'll tell you something. If you look at... I'm so sorry to cut you off. That was really rude of me.
No, go for that. I basically finished my question, yeah.
So for me, bro, like if you look at all of our heat maps, you'll see that we're very lopsided in our attacking. We always shift towards the left because Wan-Bissaka tends to go up to the halfway line. Yeah. Wow, my hands aren't coming in this halfway line and stuff there. But Shaw goes over and Shaw creates that overlap, right? So that's why you need Wan-Bissaka to push forward to create, especially in a midfield diamond situation.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
You need him to push forward to provide that outlet. And unfortunately, we don't get enough from Wan-Bissaka in that attacking sense. Yeah. When our midfield is firing, when our forwards are firing, it doesn't really matter. But when we're playing this setup and we're not getting much out of our midfield, you need an outlet, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, because when I saw what Bellerin was doing, I'm like, this is exactly what United is missing. Like, you need something like that, especially, like you said, when you're playing in a diamond. But yeah, fair enough. Good points there. And Don, moving on for you, he's, according to you, he's the greatest Egyptian in the Premier League, Mohamed El-Neni.
Bro, El-Neni was so good. He was so massive. Anything that United were coming forward, he was like in your face. Every time there was any kind of break, he was breaking it up completely. Like anything, he was just all over the place. In the 91st minute, he was running like a headless chicken, just completely. I mean, that's unfair to call him a headless chicken, but he's just running so fast and just trying to like break off everything. And all the way, like in the 93rd minute, that you had to go all the way back to your goalkeeper and try again. That's kind of the impact he had on that play. He was so good. He was just so good. I mean, and the thing is, he's very composed on the ball as well. It's not only like he was not only playing as a defensive midfielder, he was also composed on the ball. He wasn't passing back at all. He was just trying to look forward. He was trying to make those passes forward, and he switched positions with Partey very well as well. Every time there was like United players were getting used to what he's kind of trying to do, they switch positions and kind of confuse them again. So a lot of that was happening, and these two guys really, like, you guys were so poor in midfield, and we were so good that difference kind of really showed. And there is still an issue with them not being able to create as much as I would like them to. And that has been my issue, and I've been mentioning this for a long time. Arteta needs to really quickly fix that. Otherwise, it will come back to haunt us. But for the sake of the game that they had yesterday, I mean, El-Neni was massive. I'm giving him 9 on 10.
Bro, yeah. I've been hearing that around the Emirates they've been calling him El Neniesta.
El Nenergy. They're calling him El Nenergy also.
Oh.
But yeah, and then I think this guy is your best midfielder, is showing his worth, Thomas Partey.
Oh wait, did you say Patrick Vieira?
I was gonna ask you that, like that.
Bro, go wash your mouth. Go wash your mouth with so Patrick Vieira.
Is he giving?
Booners is unreal. One good game. What, you got outplayed by Leicester? One good game, Patrick Vieira, bro. I'm stunned.
I did that. I did that for you, especially for you, Zoe, especially
Oh
for
my
you.
god.
But Tom, he
But,
bossed the
Drink some
midfield.
water and calm
But no,
myself
but
down.
realistically, he's everything you guys wanted Paul Pogba to be, and he came at half the price, and in a much more market that's been so inflated as well. So I'm saying, I mean, I'm sorry he didn't cost 100 million, you know. So
Bro, you wouldn't be able to afford him if you cost 100 million.
what's up?
You wouldn't be able to afford him if you cost 100 million. You
Well, I
budget
don't want to
club.
afford someone like who costs 100 million, bro. You
Come,
can
bro.
happily
Again,
keep him.
we'll talk at the end of the season, bro. Watch. Pogba
Fine,
Ballon d'Or.
we'll talk. No, I mean, I think Partey was very, very good. I think he overall. I mean, I'm not saying that he's Patrick Vieira by any stretch of imagination. I just want to like fool around over there, but I think he has been a
Bro,
very, very good.
listen. Every joke has an element of the truth in it. So,
Bro, I think he has
deep down inside, I know you believe this. I know you believe
You
this.
saw shades of
capability to
Vieira.
become like that. I think he has a capability to become that. He was a poor man's Vieira today. I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
But I think he has a capability to become that. This is he's just been inculcated with the team for a few games now, for a few weeks now. I think he has a lot more potential. I think once he starts going through playing more games with the team, I think he'll understand the team better as well. And I'm hoping that will eventually help him create more chances and stuff like that as well, because I think he's going to run the midfield, and that's going to be very, very important. He's not just a defensive midfielder, right? He's just more than that. He carries the play from midfield to attack, and he also helps out with the defense. So he's just all over the place, which is very, very good. This is exactly what I wanted in a midfielder. We've been trying to find someone like him for a long time, and we've kind of failed over the past few years in trying to mount a title challenge because we've missed someone like a Partey. So I think the importance of him was very, very evident in the game today. I think he had a very, very good game, another 9 on 10 for him.
Absolutely.
Nine
I
out of 10.
genuinely think that he is your best midfielder. He gives you everything. He is the complete package in terms of being able to distribute, break up play, bring toughness and tenacity to your midfield. He allows you to get the best out of, like when Xhaka comes on or when Ceballos comes back, he's going to allow you to get the best out of those guys because they're going to be able to focus on what they do best, knowing that they're playing alongside him.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I want to see, and that's how I felt like the likes of when Vieira would play, like the likes of Henry and Bergkamp and all these guys were able to do their thing exactly because of the fact that Vieira and Gilberto was so solid, trying to create the midfield and run the midfield, you know, and that was so important. I think that we have that capability with these two guys. I mean, I'm not comparing to them. There's a long way to go before they get there, but I think we saw some side of that kind of. Usually, we've always lost to top 6 teams because we've lost the midfield battle, but today we were able to win it, and that's why we came out with the 3 points, and that's what's pleasing to see after a long time. We've seen that 2006 was the last time we beat United Old Trafford. So take a lot of heart from this game, and just in general, like even though it was a KG 1-0 win, I'd still take the 3 points.
Fair enough. And then moving on, Bukayo Saka.
So Saka was he had a very good first half where he was like, it felt like every attack was going through him. It just felt like that.
He had a few chances as well.
He had a few chances, and the most important one was just towards the end of the first half where he missed a free header. I think that was a very, very important time. If he would have gotten the half with that extra 1-0 lead, I think it would have been very, very good for us. And just the way kind of we played well in the first half, and we should have gone off with that kind of advantage into the half. It was unfortunate because that was the best chance, except for the 14th minute when Bellerin crossed as well and Aubameyang missed that. Those are the 2 good chances. If he could have converted one of those 2, I think we would have gone into a halftime with a lot more confidence and come out and shown a little bit more. I thought that I would have liked to see, but I think because of the fact that we kind of went in 0-0, came back out, it just were a little bit cautious in our approach moving forward, and that's why we just saw a 1-0 game. But I think as long as we got the win, that was important. And I think also when we came back in the second half, Saka kind of tapered off. I think he had a relatively poor second half compared to what he was showing, the kind of levels that he was showing in the first half. I didn't think he was able to bring that up in the second half. But overall, I thought he had a very good game. I think it was a game of 2 halves, and that's why I'm going to cut off 2 points, but I think I gave him an 8 on 10. I think he had a pretty good first half.
8 on 10 for Saka. And Willian?
Willian, I thought was also like when you were allowing him, giving him some room, I thought he was doing okay. I think he did a pretty good job when you were giving him that room, but he wasn't able to like get the most out of it because all that whenever you gave him that kind of room, he wasn't able to like really create the chances that I would have liked him to create. I thought I'm very upset that he wasn't able to like be a little bit more direct, just go at Luke Shaw a few times, and he would probably not be able to beat him, but at least keep trying. I think he was found wanting to try. He kept trying to pass sideways a lot more.
Yeah,
If
he
he would have
lost
just
possession
tried a
a few
few times.
times.
Yeah, he lost possession a few times. If you would have tried a few times to just try to go at Luke Shaw, maybe one time Luke Shaw would have faltered and maybe he would have gotten the chance to give those some crosses, because Auba was getting into good positions, but he was not getting that service from the right. He was getting it more from the left from Tierney more, and Bellerin also from the right. But I think the fact that Willian kind of was slightly poor, I thought. I mean, I think he had a decent game, but I think he was slightly poor in that front. That pass to Bellerin when he got the penalty was pretty good. I think I wanted to see a little bit more of that, and that's what I missed. And for that reason, I'm just gonna shave off an extra point for him. So I'm gonna give him a 7/10.
7/10. And Lacazette, he didn't score, didn't assist, but I have to say, I have to admit, he was a workhorse.
He was so immense. Like I felt like for the first 10-15 minutes, I thought he was just like completely by himself. He was very isolated. But I think Arteta saw that quickly, and then he started to like maybe signaled him or kind of coached him into like trying to get involved in the game. He was so immense. He was drawing all those fouls. He was executing all those plays so well. Everything that he was taught in the training ground, he was bringing to the field, and he was just completely there. And what I liked a lot about his game was his passing. His passing was very sharp. He really never put a wrong pass, maybe one odd here and there, but for the most part I thought he was passing very well. He was bringing other players into the game, and for that reason I'm going to give him an 8/10. I think he's seen a lot of criticism. It's unfortunate that he didn't score, and he has been poor in terms of finishing, and he has to improve that quality. But I think if he can continue to play like this and just add that touch to his game, I think he's a very, very good player.
He still brings a lot in other things, even if his finishing isn't quite where you want it to be. He still brings a lot to the field, and I think that Arsenal genuinely at this point in time are better with him than without him.
Absolutely. Yeah, just like Darren Bent was, he used to put a lot of effort as well.
That's it, man.
I think a more realistic one would be, I'm not trying to compare him by any stretch of the imagination, but Roberto Firmino. I thought the kind of way he brings the
I thought you were going to say Bergkamp or Henry or something.
No.
To be honest, I was expecting an Henry, bro.
No, bro. I can't compare anyone to Henry yet.
Yeah, you can compare Partey to
I was fooling around with you, bro.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So
because
just kind of like the way Roberto Firmino brings Salah and Mane into game a lot. I think he does that. I think he still has a long way to go before he can reach the levels of Roberto Firmino. But you see that Firmino also doesn't score that many goals, but he brings a lot to the table. And this season Liverpool has been a little bit shaky because Firmino's presence has been invalidated to some extent, and that's why I feel like Liverpool is struggling. But that's what Lacazette brings to this team, and that's why I'm giving him an 8/10.
Yeah, and our last rating for the day: Obama what? Obama who?
Bro, he scored the goal. I mean, that is the most important thing, right? But I thought he had a slightly poor game apart from the goal. If I'm being very, very honest, I just felt like he was. I didn't think that he ran into space enough that he usually does. I don't know if there's something going on with him. I just feel like even in the last game, I told you that he had to like eat some medication like in the middle of the game. So maybe he has some niggle that he's worried about. I don't know what it is. I hope that it's not something serious, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I have seen Aubameyang be better than what he has been over the past 3 or 4 weeks. But it was very nice to see him score that goal and just break the shackles, because he hadn't scored for 5 games before that. It was important for him to score. Your premier striker, you don't want him to go too many games without scoring, and he scored a perfect penalty, like you said. You guys mentioned it. I mean, David De Gea could have done anything and he wouldn't have stopped that, right? So just for the sake of that, I'm going to give him an 8/10, but I think that he had a relatively poor game. But the first goal, again, at Old Trafford, and that converted into it, like the winner eventually. That's why I'm giving an extra point. But I thought he had a slightly poor game. To his very high standards, he had a slightly poor game where I thought he could have done a little bit more.
Yeah, and the penalty will definitely boost his confidence, I think, because he did.
Absolutely, yeah.
He had that chance, the bottom right corner, which he missed. I felt like
in the 14th minute when Bellerin really crossed it in, and he should have really finished that one as well.
Yeah, it could have been one of those days.
Yeah. Because if Auba is fully in flow, he knows that's coming and he's ready for it. I thought he was a shade behind and he was not ready for it, because usually Auba will finish those kind of shots because he's your typical poacher, right? He won't miss those kind of opportunities. So I was a little surprised by that. So I was a little bit worried, but I think that goal really puts to bed any kind of worries that I was starting to have. Hopefully now he just comes back and starts scoring banging those goals like we used to seeing him last season.
Yeah, I think that wraps up the ratings. With that, we're reaching the end of the episode. Just lastly, just quick thoughts on the managers. Don Arteta, learned from his mistakes against Leicester. Yes, he will make mistakes going on as well, but it looks like good signs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been saying this all along. Like Arteta has been immensely massive for this team. I think he came in and he took a completely disjointed team, and he's now seen some real structure with the team in general. There are issues still. Like I've been mentioning this. We need to really quickly figure out that creativity in the team. But if anyone, I think he's the right man to do it. He knows what is needed. He knows what he can do to get it. It's just a matter of going out there and just figuring it out. And until then, if he gets these 1-0 wins, I'm totally fine. Even if we have to beat a United 1-0 or if we have to beat a Burnley 1-0, as long as we're winning, I think you just get those points in the bag. And the creativity and the kind of when they play along, it'll come through. But massive signs. I mean, I'm very, very happy that we.
Yeah, you could see from his reaction, it meant a lot, that win. And so just with the Solskjaer, I mean, I don't know what to say. This team is actually really exciting to follow, because one day they're beating PSG in Paris with Neymar and Mbappe, then they're losing to Arsenal, they're losing to Crystal Palace, and then they go and beat Leipzig. Like anything's happening. Like, just when you think, okay, should we sack this guy? He comes up, beats Paris. Then we're like, okay, we need to extend his contract. Then he goes and loses. Like, I don't know. What do you make of the situation?
Man, listen, I mean, to be honest, I think that there are definite limitations to what Ole can do.
Yeah.
Fine.
But the range of results is next level.
But that's it. The range of results is down to the inconsistency of the players. Because when the players play, when the effort is there, when they're implementing the plan, you see a completely different United. Right? You saw it against Leipzig. You saw it against PSG. PSG was not a smash and grab win. PSG was a dominant performance by us, and then we doubled down on that performance against Leipzig. Yeah. Chelsea, okay, shit game from both teams. But this game against Arsenal, this was a winnable game. And going into the first half 0-0, this was winnable coming out of it. Like I've been saying that, yes, full credit to Arsenal. They played better than us. They're the deserved winners. But given that the only thing was a penalty, this game was there for the taking. But I don't know whether it's a managerial shortcoming or what it is. The players don't come out consistently with the same effort, with the same drive. And I don't know, man. Like for me, I find that, like at the end of the day, the buck always stops with the manager. Everything comes back to the manager. But it just seems like the players are blowing hot and cold. Ole has his limitations, but these are things that he can overcome as well as he gets more experience. There's nothing to say that, he's going to be able to, he's not going to be able to learn and grow on the job. Arteta benefited from being an assistant coach under Pep. Absolutely, huge opportunity for him to learn from one of the best in the business. Ole didn't really have that. He's kind of learning on the job over here. I don't think he's done a bad job, but I do think he gets let down a lot by the board and by the players.
Really good points there. I think that wraps up this episode. Thank you guys for joining me. A lot of good points, a lot of fun. Hope to see you soon and have a good night.